intermingled, like the ore of the gold is within the gold. And so likewise, the thought is innate to, or core emergent to the nature of the mind. So the nature of mind itself is, which is Dharmakaya, from within that space-like nature of the Dharmakaya, momentarily, it seems that there is this cloud-like appearance of the thought. But then when you see directly with awareness the essence of that thought, when you look at it directly, then the thought becomes liberated on its own. And it is just like a cloud vanishing, dissolving into the sky. And as it vanishes into the sky, it again is seen as non-dual from the sky. So that's really how we understand finally the relation between thoughts and the mind. Or it is like ice and water. So the mind itself is water, and the thought is this momentary appearance of ice. And it depends on warmth, how warm it is. But the fact is that this block here is ice. And because it's ice, it can melt into water. So if it melts, it is water. It's nothing else than water. So when we realize the essence of the thoughts arising in the mind, we recognize that actually there is no distinction between the thoughts and the mind. And when you look at its essence, you see it as really indivisible. And in fact, it goes even beyond that. What you resolve is that it really transcends both being one and also being separate. So in these ways, we then gradually have to resolve the co-emergent nature of the thoughts.
Nam to linji jiba, chuku lap sit jamso le lap yin de ba, deri te control lama jambu nan de songre. Rasem sanje yin jang ngo ma shi. Rangsem de sanje rite ngo shi mares. Sem ke nam to te chuku nam to chuku yin jang de ma to te tunda da ha ku mare. Mapju nyuma yin jang kyong manus sem mapju pa. Mapju juma yin jang kyong manu sem mapju pa tingang ne pa kyong ma to pa. Ramap ne lo yin jang yi ma chi sem ramap ne lo te yore te yin ba la te ni yi ma chi ramap ne lo yin jang yi ma chi to ma to yi ma chi wa ho te de ran sem san je yin jang ngo ma shi nam to chu ge yin jang ti dön da de ma to map ju nyu ma yin jang kyong ma nu ten ta kyong ma sem ma pi pa nyu ma te kyong ma nu ramap sem ram jin ne lo nga ya ya te ne lo yin jang dön ma to la yi ma chi ya ramap ne lo yin jang yi ma chi control lama jambu na tro song
lama khare
lama jambu calling for
ala ya o control ra
te ya po do ko ni
so here we are first introduced to the co-emergence of thoughts, which are the waves of the Dharmakaya. So the first introduction is the waves, which are the thoughts. And in Kongtrul Rinpoche's calling the Lama from afar, there is a nice verse that really shows that. He says that although their minds is the Buddha, although being's mind is the Buddha, they do not recognize that. And although their thoughts are Dharmakaya, they do not realize that. And they are unable to sustain their natural, uncontrived nature, even though the natural state is what they are, they do not believe in it.
Yeah. Tatela ngabda mitipa ke desong Maji pale, tokpa lower was, Maji pa sim tarati drama chabdin no yuwa, Maji wa me pe chubing na city sim Maji pa te, tela, teni tokpa, namdo se te lower wa res, tokpa lower wa. Namdo tokpa teni yenking o nis, sem namdo teni yenking o ni, Maji wa me pe chubing na sindukun, tinduksa. Teni dune tade mi ba des tokpa tam te yeng teni tade mi ba de teni ronyam chirba nge tindo teni ronyam te chirba teni ngabda me chirba khong ke tens.
There's one quote by my tripper, and he said that within the unborn expanse of Dharmakaya, and actually that also occurs in the 7 verses of supplication to Tara. So within this unborn expanse of the Dharmakaya thoughts arise momentarily, but those thoughts, the essence of those thoughts is the expanse, and since primordial times, thoughts and this primordial expanse are indistinguishable. They are of equal taste, and that is the confidence, the assurance of my trippa.
Oh yeah, tani battery. Nawa lenji kipa chuku sinu yotiwa. Den lenji namson ni bat. Den du deni ni ba nawa lenji ngo Drupon ne nawa se ya de sems ta ji ba os. Den du de la dun ji ka wa ham yang na bomba ka wa tan ta bomba te pe nang ba ke tan te pe mang bo len do bomba ta ba shi la jie de ji de pe che ka zang dan de ren de ji ba ta den du de ni ka wa tan bomba te ni sini chang chang bo den den bo par nawa ne sita ten de la chap sama do de den ba re den bo ri sang ji ngura ti nawa te ne triple ta pe na kun da ten churba ku lu ta wa kun ni pha ta ya le ne kun da da yong rob si hla gom ba kap so kun da ma re yong rob ri la wo re Karesen yondro resena sosos la sem devar hip nimbo pen melong ta bot soso le yores tera zungi karete na hartu gores tambo melong ta bot melong ta soso le mena zo karete na shaya yomarwa ten de la shewa tho kare na soso sem devar hip nimbo melong ta bot la karete na te sharang gores ten de yondro rimato kunda si de meba chila yuba jigzo tan kado napo che katse dan na karpo chaya yo mare stendu kunda mare stara kawa tan pamba de la dembo tan changbo tan den ubo rawon thoya de pata ya jo re sengbo ko dembar maro bare de yin jinji sepe na yiwang de rang ge ngo la da hin jie na我的经济个设备呢，以往的出让个我了大型街呢的门站、大站、大巴站呢，我你可我不你马着板多半呢的用着的也是用着的，别的跟村巴的西巴的呢，肉da这肉人家，他的他肉几波了，我那么他们这家，村里什么的人。
Som.
Sini som.
Som kare.
Ala.
Sini som kare.
Kunda.
Kunda.
Yongdrop.
Yongdrop tene.
Jimang ah.
Jimang di.
Kunda yongdrop jimang. Som sa. Jimang.
And so that was the first point, that is to introduce the co-emergence of thoughts, which are the waves of Dharmakaya. And then secondly is introduction to co-emergence of appearances, which is, these are the radiance, the light of the Dharmakaya. And so here we are resolving that appearances are the mind. And so the example that is given here, and that example, those examples come up a lot in the Buddhist context, is that of a pillar again, or a vase. So it says, look directly at the form of a pillar or a vase. And it appears to you, when you look at a pillar or a vase, it appears to you that this object possesses all characteristics of a pillar or a vase. So it appears as real. So to you, it is a pillar or a vase. You think that's what it really is. And that is the labeling or imputation of the deluded or confused mind. When we meditate on a deity, we visualize a deity, for example, then we first learn that deity that arises when we visualize it is not just like a fabrication or like an imputation, something that we conjure up, but it's something that already is established within us. So it is inherently, innately existing. So how it exists is that your own Buddha nature is like a mirror. So you have a mirror. Because that is your nature, anything can be reflected within it. If you wouldn't have a mirror in the first place, then no form could be reflected in it. So Buddha nature is like that mirror, and within that, the reflections of the peaceful or wrathful deities and so on appear. And basically, whatever the attention is directed towards, whatever Buddha nature views, that is what will be reflected within it. It will become that. So this is how there's like a natural, the term is perfectly naturally established within the mind. So it's not just something that is imputed or fabricated. So we are not creating something that to exist that actually doesn't exist. We are not creating something that doesn't exist. For example, if it wouldn't exist that way, for example, if you no matter what you do to the color black, for example, you can't change it to a white color. It just is how it is naturally. And so now we believe that when we look at an object like a pillar or a vase, that it really exists. It's a solid material thing that exists. And so here we realize that all of those appearances do not inherently exist. It is only that we label them. We give them certain names, we label them, we impute an existence upon them that they actually don't have on their own. And we do that because various conditions arise, and various conditions arise that leave the mind in a state that is controlled by a certain fixation. And so when you really look at that conditioned mind that just naturally believes things, then you find that actually it's just a label, it's just a name, but nothing in that object itself actually is really that. Now, so we only give it a name, or this object is like a symbol. We only impute some existence upon it that doesn't really actually exist. It has its own inherent co-emergent nature. And so now again we're using the example of form, and it can be applied to all of the other objects, like sound and smell and so on. All the appearances. So all the appearances possess those three characteristics that we go through. So those 3 points. First, there is this imputation. Then we look at the nature of imputation, and then we see that it actually is primordially its primordial state, how it actually exists. And then we look at the state that is the conditioned state, where we naturally believe in things and so on.
That the tin sum kunda yung group yimang ti sum di der na wa zam yarwa jam makigla sinjawa zobu sanje ke jam ti makigla de karala ta ma chuba Jarve Chang Tanteri Sinichi Karet Tumatoba, Karado, Yupa, Yuris in a Tenya Meba, Meris in a Yupa, my Jarve Chang Mazin Laura, Sem Yuris in a Java Zobosanje Kenderi Sitenya, Yomas Kazana. Yo Marisina, Honde Nitama, Semkele Casiore, Tendi, Jarake, Jan Makela. Now Deka Rango Tombas, Nangore, Navaram Yinte, Tombares, Delamuzon Yomara. Now Semni Sosor, Ranso Topata Maimba, Nawa say at the Sermale, Sem say at the Nandamale. Wotela, Teni, Sarwa, Semra Koranka Ramjin Sarwa, Savaram Yink, Tomba. Tongbo Chanijan, Sartong Chanijan, Yermi Jing Sem the Namar Pandison Yadang Nama say at the Sems Surrendin Chipatawa, young Mayimba Den Jetun Tamban La Na Sem Jigdang Tadepa Gangdoya, Katsun Jet Meba, Katsun Jet Meba, that is in Nawada Satade, Gangdoya, Katsun Jet Meba, Matoba, Dona, Nawa, Linging on to Bawo, Sitate, Hakonatini, Nawa Seate, Nawa, Chuchuku, Laura Tate, on to Yures.
And so these three characteristics now are just an appearance within the mind. So actually, as we also actually mentioned yesterday, even the Buddha would not be able to show it to you, to express it to you. So you cannot say that it exists. Even the Buddhas have not seen it. Even the Buddhas can't show it. Yet you cannot say it doesn't exist because the mind now engages in all the activities of samsara and nirvana. So the appearances, the essence of those appearances is emptiness. And appearances and the mind do not exist separately, like self-sufficiently, like separate entities. And also, we cannot say that, like in terms of the relation between appearance and emptiness, in terms of outer and inner, there is not one that's inside and one that's outside. So the essence of mind is clear, and the essence, the nature of that clarity is emptiness. And actually, they are inseparable. Clear emptiness. And therefore, the appearances that arise, we cannot say that the mind goes there to the appearances, neither do they come to the mind. So they do not exist in that way. So from the ultimate perspective now, is that appearances and mind transcend being one and being distinct. Nothing can be actually shown by means of verbal expressions and so on. And when you realize that, then you have recognized the co-emergence of appearances, and that is the light of the Dharmakaya.
Samjim chape jules di ju pecha rela samjim chape jules pecha jin sare dinan de song semni linji gi ba chu chu ko tenga shwana yin nawa linji gi ba chu ko yu chu ko de ser jimsin ti senna nawa ta sem yer me ba linji tu ji ba re sen Samjim chape ju lando ju kan pecha remain sare.
So it is said in the Tantra of Inconceivability that the co-emergent mind itself is Dharmakaya, and the co-emergent appearances are the Dharmakaya's light, and therefore appearances and mind are indivisible, or they co-emerge.
That the Lenjin Namson Nani, Tani Sumba, that's all around there. Semni Lenji Jiba Chujuko, say a tema, Hango de Arindos. Then do Sem Jing Owo, Tain Lava Patans. Sem ne satan jusak zawa je ba tang ta te khachang sem jing go te na pa tang ye char dom do je ba ste te so te la sare teni sem se ya te kang shar je wa me ba ra tha ju be tha je be ngo te do se ten lu ti hang som ga thon ni ro do.
And so after three co-emergences, now is the third one is actually the principal one, and that is to we are introduced to the mind itself, and the co-emergent mind itself being Dharmakaya. And so here we understand first the essence of the mind, and then we get to the root of the nature of the abiding mind and the moving mind, actually just as before in the previous point where we cut through the roots of thoughts and doubts and so on. And then thirdly, it is to resolve that whatever arises is unborn by nature.
Jumi ji shine tangbo tang, jumi be shine tangbo tang, barba tang, shine ta shine sum dinani, tamane kap sumbo, di sima, ta sumba de, sima jamso lap ji ma ju patawe shi, la shine ke jumi be, shine gomba kap jumi ba, jumba som yora, tangbo tang barba, do dina tara shine kap sumba. Ti kabrin do ten di kap sumba de la jamso lap ji ma ju pataw go jamso la ti balap se yorwa lap ma ju pataw ti shine de nam do ke drupa tham ji nyewar she jing sem nam do ke drupa tham ji nyewar she yang drupa de so nyewar she yang to pa me ba nam do me ba ting bo so ma yin pe cho truk manga par sarva la cho truk ke tiyo la manga par teni sem koran ram yin sarva la ti ji so yang mandrang par sarva ti ji so yang mandrang pe shipa ngobo sarva tang tongpa yen mi de tha ju jing jam so chimbo la lap je zam song yang jam so chimbo da long ke balap je zam song yang ka ke ren ba chu se zam le jam so ke ten yo men ne ba ta jam so ten gu jo jang ma ris ne nang ken jo ba sem ne ba kap so jo ba tang jo ba ke sem jo ba kap so ne ba so jang sem de arang ke ta cha zam le ne ba tang jo ya ke ti ta cha zam le sar wa tang tong ba yen mi jing o sa tong yen mi jing o rang zhuo wa ne sem ni lin jing o zhu ba o sem ni lin ji ji ba chu ji go le de ne o zhu ba o song zai
ta tin ni ba de ma re ke me be shin ra
sumba de shine la dangbo dang pa pa dang thama sin ko ren ba som yoro tinen thama kap ta te go dos.
So now, there's 3 levels of shamata, of flawless shamata without faults. And now, in the last stage, the last stage of shamata, the 3rd stage, here, when we have reached that state, then we look at the mind where that is like an ocean that is undisturbed by any waves. So the mind abides very still. All thoughts and conceptual elaboration and everything has calmed down. So you're abiding in a non-conceptual, a thought-free state. And within that state, the 6 sense consciousnesses, they are unceasing. and clear. The 6 sense consciousnesses are clear and not blocked, so not unceasing, unobstructed. And then with that clarity, you do not follow whatever there is. And the awareness that does not pursue, the essence of that awareness is clear and empty. So clarity and emptiness are inseparable. So that is what is resolved here, what must be resolved. And then resolving that, you realize then that no matter how many waves there might appear on the ocean, they are only movements that happen on the surface of the ocean. But the bottom of the ocean always remains still, unmoved by those, unaffected by those waves on the surface. And so with the mind then, it is that it appears that the mind is abiding, and while it is abiding, there is still some movement, and likewise when there is movement, it can also have an abiding quality. So abiding still and the moving mind, the thinking mind, conceptual, where there's some stirring in the mind, they are nothing but the an aspect, a form of radiance arising from the mind and being the mind. And they are inseparable from the clear and empty nature of the mind. And so when you see that, then the mind becomes liberated, and what you recognize is the co-emergent dharmakaya nature of the mind.
Pardi shavari case desondo kanga laso chulong na cho ba chu kanga ta yungda no ra te la so ba teni chura re pe mambo chulong na cho ba ta cho te so la chung ai mo chu mu ta chu chawon ra ma da yor ba te chama te ba cha jin ji jamcho na ro chik te chama dun ro res nyampula Takpo semdang, kundadang, yongdok semdang, semzong, nacho, semdang namto, nacho tamji jang, dordina chuji yangsu, roji shipar jis.
And the master Shavari had said that all the rivers, like the river Ganges and so forth, no matter what is their temporary nature, some might be sweet, some salty, some hot or cold, eventually they all converge in the ocean, the vast ocean. And when they converge there, they become equal, of equal flavor, equal taste. And so therefore, all of the various arisings, appearances, are mere imputations, mere labels of the mind. And so by recognizing that, you realize that the various appearances are, like those rivers, are of one taste within the Dharma Dhatu expanse.
The same water at the Ramba song, the Watambo, same water, Mutangs. The Nipa, the Tambo water at the song, that Nipa gom Yamnisi perhaps, the Nita Junkarikarium, on the Shea, the Tangato, the two Tondo passing Jayana.
So that was the first point of the actual introduction to the nature of the mind. And the second point then is to habituate that, to practice that without any faults. So before that, we first take a break.
When the Tama, the Tama Jamson and man do no was sitting doing the Madok, Shimjona Roji, Sem Nam Toda. Sem needs in Mambo Jindoa, then Tamatena, Sem Korankan, Chuji and Surochi do the Mandos. What is the passing caps Shimjona Rogis?
And during the break time, then reflect on that. Reflect on, is the mind like that? Is it that, like all of those various appearances, are just like the various rivers in the world that eventually all gather within the vast ocean. Now, there's thoughts and appearances and so on, the various appearances that manifest. Do they all eventually, ultimately dissolve or gather into the Dhamma, Dhatu, the ultimate expanse, or not? So just analyze that.
Okay, thank you. This is Tongdua.
Are you doing this?
I guess it's all over the place, but I'll do it. Do you want some almond milk?
No, I thought are you doing a session with? Can I have some cool, normal, colder? Just cool water?
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. Thank you
That's
so
it.
much. That's it. I love it. You could see it. And then I got that.
Want some cough drops? It's good stuff.
I have one.
Oh, you want more? These are awesome. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
No, I think we should take it inside. Maybe you don't. You're okay.
What about my egg? I never saw it.
Yeah, you got two.
I could do an egg.
Sure.
I forgot. Might have to go to the bathroom again. It's a pretty good teacher.
Wow, I was just blown away after I got into the living room and listening to them. Even the soft cadence, his voice, and the interpretation of it, it just got so nice.
She was a great interpreter.
Yeah.
She was in Ohio quite a bit
Oh, really?
when all of them were there. She interprets for Garchen Buddhist.
She's done it a long time then.
Yeah. She's the best.
She.
So you could probably learn Tibetan.
She's not American either, is she? She's got
I can't remember where she's from.
like Spain.
Yeah, I just talked to her briefly. Not very much. But you could probably learn Tibetan very quickly. 30-day crash course. Save her from having to fly in.
Well, let's go somewhere.